Get ready. Straight from the streets of LA.
Lower Alabama, that is.
We're talking SEC football, and that's all. This is AP and Kelly as we see it.
I'm all about that action. I'm all about that action. I'm all about that action. I said I'm all about that action.
I'm AP Stedham from LA, Lower Alabama.
And I'm Kelly Finley, journalist of more than 24 years, covering sports and news and notes and what's what and who's who when it comes to college football.
This is AP and Kelly as we see it, a syndicated weekly 1-hour show discussing the Southeastern Conference and always keeping an eye on the national college football scene and more. Hey, Kelly.
Hey, co-host, how are you this week?
I'm good, Kelly. I'm good. We're really revving it up, these football games. Had fun last week in Carolina, Ole Miss, Wake Forest, and Ole Miss looks to be a dominant team, winning 40-6, but I'm ready for this week.
Love that. So right now, physically, we're in the same state, but you taking off later on?
I'll be heading to the west, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, for UCLA Bruins of the Big Ten, Kelly. I said the Big Ten.
You have piqued my interest there. Well, I know you can only do that because of our great sponsors who you love to mention each and every week.
Yeah, we want to thank Greer's Markets. We know that Greer's family, friends, and football, Kelly. This is the time to shop at Greer's because they have all those delicious items and the snacks. And you can always call that audible if you don't want to go to the store because you're preparing for all your family and friends, and it'll be delivered right to your house. Just click on the groceries to go, and it'll be delivered to your business, your home. Maybe you're having a party somewhere else, but they'll take care of it. And they have, Lucy's, the chef extraordinaire, has all the recipes for you. They have the coloring book contest for the children. And remember, Kelly, Greer's got it. They guarantee it.
Listen, I have to tell you, Greer's was clutch for me. Last week, I had a major workout and I needed to eat quickly. And I went in there and they had so many options and I had the best food and came back to life. So Greer's, thank you. Thank you so much.
You called all the right plays. All those
I
options.
did. Them X's and O's lined up.
For sure. And we also want to thank Wind Creek. They have the 3 locations in Alabama, Atmore, Montgomery, and Wetumpka. And I know Kelly loves that special code. If you tell them you heard this ad on our show, Kelly25, you receive $25 as a first-time person at the facility. And Kelly, you have a chance on your first time to get $1,000 rebate as well. So drop by one of the 3 casinos, Atmore, Montgomery, Wetumpka, mention Kelly25, Kelly with a Y, and they'll give you that $25 if you sign up for the first time. So we want to thank them as well. And then,
AP, you're too good to me. Thank you. And their code is right there. You see on the ticker. So just in case you missed that, Kelly.
There we are. Somebody like me. I need all the help I can get, Kelly. Robertsdale Dental Care, Dr. Jason Northcutt. Not only does Dr. Jason Northcutt offer basic full-service dental treatment, but Dr. Jason Northcutt has developed a niche within the practice where he provides comprehensive dental care. He has the dental implants, the single implants, the bone grafting, and the full mouth reconstruction. Dr. Northcutt has been highly trained in those disciplines to offer comfortable and long-lasting solutions to major dental problems. So come by and see Dr. Jason Northcutt at Robertsdale Dental Care, 251-947-3636.
Yet another reason to smile. And then when you couple our sponsors with our social media presence, it's really truly a winning combination. And so we encourage you to follow us on Instagram and Facebook, and of course, X, formerly known as Twitter. Just look up AP and Kelly as we see it. And when you hop online, not only will you see previous shows, not only will you be able to listen to previous podcasts, but you also can see behind the scenes footage when it comes to videos and pictures and interviews and questions. We got you covered, but all we need you to do is follow us, hit that like button, and share, and continue on when it comes to all things good college football, because this is our time of the year, co-host. Love it.
It sure. At AP Stedham, our YouTube channel, and then at the show's YouTube channel as well, AP and Kelly as we see it. So that's brand new for us. This is, I think, our 4th video Kelly. I believe it is fourth episode on video.
Right. And we appreciate all who are not only following and sharing, but also just, tuning in, because there's a lot that goes into this. We have the greatest guests and we bring so much knowledge to all things pigskin. And so you don't want to miss out. You want to be prepared before you watch the big game each week.
Oh yeah, subscribe. And Kelly, I guess we should mention the great guest this week, Pete Fiutak, College Football News. He's the publisher, so he knows about every game, Kelly, every game.
He does. He does. His playbook is like this thick, because he is always rock and roll ready to bring the heat when it comes to knowing who's doing what and where. And because we've talked about this throughout the show, throughout the season, about transfers and injuries and how the whole game can change, I mean, really in the blink of an eye. And so you want to stay on top of that by following him and as well following us.
Absolutely. So Kelly, I guess we're ready to start in with the games, and we'll have some reflection as well on what happened last week as we discuss this coming weekend.
That's exactly right. And so what we tend to do is go in alphabetical order. So if you are new to the show, welcome. And if you've been listening, thank you. Let's kick things off with Arkansas taking on Auburn in Auburn.
Yeah, that's an interesting game, Kelly, because they have a history through the years being in the SEC, but Bobby Petrino coming back to Arkansas, he's revitalized that offense, Kelly. So their offense in the nation right now, and it's early in the season, is fifth. And they have a quarterback that I like, that Taylor Green transfer from Boise State, and Jaquindon Jackson, that running back. They came over from Texas and Utah. It's big running back, and has 100-yard games the last 3 games. Auburn is the favorite, 3.5-point favorite. And we know they changed quarterbacks, Kelly. Big news on the Plains. They brought in Hank Brown.
That's very big news.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. They were stumbling with Peyton Thorne, the transfer from Michigan State. He's been there a second year, but Hank was 17 for 25, 235, 4 touchdowns in their win over New Mexico, 45-19. Arkansas beat UAB 37-27. UAB made it a very good game, competitive, but Arkansas, they're a tough out because they have that bounce and they have so much length on the outside, the perimeter, 6'7", 6'4", and that's difficult to guard because your defensive backs are usually 6'3" maximum, and that's rare to find somebody 6'3" at a cornerback position.
And you find that someone that big, that lanky, also has quick feet, and if you can't keep up, they're blowing right past you. Right.
Yeah. So I like that quarterback and running back combo. So Auburn, they're trying to get moving and grooving on offense with Hank Brown, and we'll see. This is better competition this week than last week against New Mexico actually. So
a quick question about Auburn as we start off with a new QB. How are fans been receiving this news of the switch?
Well, I think they're looking for some spark, Kelly. Me and you, I think they would have welcomed us playing quarterback. I don't know. They wanted to change.
I've got a mean spiral. Don't get it twisted.
You'll be second team. I'll be third team. Okay.
QB2 and QB3. All right. Tennessee and Oklahoma, our next game that we're tracking. What do we need to know about this one?
Yeah, this is the big game, Kelly, for a lot of reasons. The dynamics with Josh Heupel, who was the national championship quarterback for Oklahoma in the early 2000s. And so he's going back. He was fired there by Bob Stoops when he was the offensive coordinator. So then he went to Missouri. But he's got his quarterback, like I keep saying, Nico Iamaleava. And Oklahoma
practicing.
I've been practicing. I have.
That's a total first down right there. You have been practicing. I am so very proud of you because I won't even attempt. I just go with Nico.
I'm going to send it to you phonetically. You'll pick it up quickly, I'm sure. But
okay.
But Oklahoma, number 15 in the country. Tennessee number 6. Tennessee's about a 7.5-point favorite on the road. And it's going to be a tough battle because those two teams, this is Oklahoma's first foray into the SEC. So it's historical. And to bring back your former quarterback as the coach of the Tennessee Volunteers, that's amazing. Oklahoma leads that Tennessee series 3-1, by the way. I won't tell you the year, Kill. I remember watching them playing the Orange Bowl, and Oklahoma jumped on them about 26-0. I think Tennessee came all the way back. They fell short, missing the field goal.
I
Yeah.
mean, I'm sure you're young enough to have watched it on YouTube. It's fine. Let me ask you this: of the two teams, who's got the greater fan base, Tennessee or Oklahoma? Do you find?
I mean, they're both rabid killer. I don't think I can make a choice on that one. They'd have to put me in the corner, and I am in the corner right now. But you got to bring more security to make me answer this question.
Okay, I understand. I
But
understand. Well, it's gonna be. It's
Tennessee,
good.
Kelly, Tennessee, second in offense, second in defense right now. Of course, they haven't been tested. They're averaging about 63 points a game, but
Mhm.
we're going to find out a lot about Tennessee this weekend on the road.
I envision a whole lot of orange in the audience there. Hey, we're up against our first break. Got a great guest coming up, Mr.
Yeah,
Pete.
Pete. Yeah, Pete Fiutak. He's with College Football News. He covers all the teams. He does the FCS too, the FBS and the FCS. So on Saturday, he must be up before the rooster. I'm
Listen,
thinking.
he is an energy drink himself. That's what it's all about. He
Oh
brings it.
yeah. Oh yeah. So we're going to be right back after these messages with AP and Kelly as we see it, continuing our discussion of these SEC games. We'll be right back after these messages.
Let the games begin at Wind Creek Casino, where new players get a free play rebate of up to $1,000 based on their first day's play. Just stop by Player Services at any Alabama location and sign up for a rewards account to get all the details. Mention you heard this ad on the radio and give the code Kelly25 and we'll throw in a $25 free play bonus. That's KELLY 25. Don't miss out on our new player promise, exclusively from Wind Creek. Minimum $75 loss required for free play rebate. Get full details at windcreek.com or see Player Services.
Hi, I'm AP Stedham for Greer's Markets. If you're planning a big party or for every day, shop at Greer's for delicious food, beverages, and snacks. Save time and money by checking on Greer's.com and use Groceries to Go to get your Greer's groceries delivered. Look at the weekly ad for more information. 29 locations in Alabama, Florida, and Mississippi, serving the region since 1916. Remember, Greer's got it. They guarantee it.
Welcome back. This is the time of the show that we love to preview, of course, but now we're really here. Our guest joining us in this segment. AP, I'm so excited.
Yeah, we're going to welcome Pete Fiutak, the publisher of College Football News. Kelly, if you think we cover a lot, he's all over the country. So we'd like to welcome Pete Fiutak, the publisher of College Football News, to AP and Kelly as we say, hey, Pete.
How you guys been?
Hi, Pete. We understand you keep your go fasters going when
Everyone,
you cover
man.
all of it.
Oh man, you know what? It slows down a little bit. It's more fun now, but man, the first 2 weeks of the season, when you have all the FBS versus FCS games, there's like 85 games or something. I have to actually know something about these FCS teams. Now it's a little bit easier when we're talking Florida, Mississippi State, and things like that, where it's the bigger name teams now. So it's a little bit easier.
Oh, sure. Pete, big ball game this week. Tennessee with Josh Heupel, the former national championship quarterback from Oklahoma, visits the Sooners, and that's the Sooners' first SEC game. So there's a lot of tension, a lot of drama. What are some of your observations about Tennessee and Oklahoma right now, Pete?
Oklahoma's got to find their offense, and it hasn't been good enough yet. I mean, they've been strangely bad on third down so far. I mean, they've been explosive. They've come through, and they keep surviving and advancing. But obviously, you've got to be able to keep up with this Tennessee attack once it gets moving. And Oklahoma has not shown the firepower really to kind of keep up if Tennessee gets going early. But it's also the Tennessee defense. I think it gets kind of like blown off a little bit that this defense is attacking. And so it's all about the offense. It's all about the great passing game and Heupel and everything like this. But, man, they can get to the quarterback. So this is a big one not just because it's the first SEC game, not because it's, this one's, with so many good teams in the SEC, it's basically an elimination game for the SEC championship in week 1 of the conference season for these two. But also, if you look ahead for Oklahoma's schedule, there's a lot of rough games on that thing. So it's going to be a fight if they lose this one for them to kind of keep on moving.
Nico seems to be as good as advertised. Nico Iamaleava.
Yeah, you nailed it. Yeah, Iamaleava, it works for me. I got Uyunglele, I got Tungavailoa. Iamaleava, that's taken me a little bit to actually get. I'm glad you said it first because I'm 50% on that.
Yeah, I call him Nico.
Yeah, Nico's much better. I never did DJ. I did do DJ Gooey, but you're right. He's been great. I mean, this is what you're hoping for, is that he does seem to be that next quarterback in the system where you knew from 2 years ago, everyone who watched what Hendon Hooker did and what this offense did, if you're a quarterback under Josh Heupel, you're like, yeah, I want to be a part of this thing. And so here you go with this is when like the recruiting cycle starts to kick in, and you do get that high end quarterback who can play. But again, for Oklahoma, Jackson Arnold's supposed to be that guy. There's a reason why Dylan Gabriel is in Oregon right now, partially because Dylan Gabriel's good and he got the NIL money to go up to Oregon, but also Arnold is supposed to be just that strong of a quarterback. So that's the good and the bad. There's always bad about the things like the transfer portal and the new world of college football and everything. The good is that you can have quarterbacks rise up quickly in this, and the quarterback play across the board has been better than ever, and you got two really good ones in this one.
Speaking of good, Pete, looking at your social media platforms, namely X, here's your question. How can you not be romantic about college football? I mean, that catches your eye, but tell us more about this one.
Total ripoff of the movie Moneyball. You know, I'm not romantic about baseball, but like that was one of those things where I think I X'd that. I call it Twixed it, or however you want to call it, at like 2 a.m, where a little punchy, and then all of a sudden I came across. But one of the real positives, and I wish Twitter was better now, and that didn't kind of fall into what it's become. But you do get these the athletic departments are getting so good when it comes to coming up with narratives and good content and good video and good shots of big moments in their games, especially when they win. And the view that the Washington State Sports Information Department got of the goal line stand against Washington, because if you're Wazoo, you're still twisting in the wind. Okay, you're going to be in this new Pac-12, but you got to, you didn't get the call from the Big 12. You didn't move on to the Big 10 or anything like this. You and Oregon State kind of just have, land of misfit teams out there. And Washington's, getting all that money from the Big Ten going forward as the team that played in the national championship last year, rivalry game, even with all the changes. And it's played in Seattle, even though it was a neutral site game. Obviously, that's more of a Washington crowd. And you come up with a goal line stand like that, the view that they got of that stand was pretty epic. And the celebration afterwards is really sort of cool.
I mean, if your creativity flows like that, I'd love to know what your playbook looks like when you're getting ready for game day. However many teams you're watching, like take us into your huddle. What is it? What does that look like?
It is hopefully taking a walk first and getting out of it, because it is a all night thing, because it is game on come Saturday night and early into Sunday morning, because we cannot put up enough content once the games are over, and then it just doesn't stop. So. I'm not complaining in any way, shape, or form, because it's ridiculous to do this. But the football season's short. I mean, we kind of forget that, even though the college football playoff this year is going to the end of January, basically, it's not like the NBA or Major League Baseball, which is 7 or 8 months. I mean, this thing is, we're already a quarter of the way through the season at this point. I mean, it goes by so fast that you only have so many college football Saturdays to enjoy. So it is a true labor of love. It's ridiculous. I've had real jobs. This is not one of them. But my thing is really try to sleep as much as possible beforehand, because I'm not going to get a whole bunch the rest of the week. So,
hey Pete, I want to ask you about this next game. Arkansas, the Razorbacks seem to be revived on offense, better offensive line. Taylor Green, the transfer quarterback from Boise State, and then Jaquindon Jackson, who was a big time recruit out of Texas, went there for about 5 minutes, and I think it was Utah. He went to Utah.
Yeah.
And so those two players, and then they have all that length on the outside with those receivers, 6'7", 6'4", and more. But that's a tough game for Auburn, even though they're favored at home with the new quarterback, Hank Brown.
Yeah, and you know what? Everyone's kind of waiting for it. That was always the, for what I do, one of the biggest things is always, I'm sure for you too as well, is the whole speculation when it comes to coaches. Get ready for the Billy Napier thing to be fired up here if he doesn't win this week. But it's always, who are the top 5 candidates for coaches? Every SEC, fan base wanted Hugh Freeze back, because he was the guy who was able to crack the Nick Saban code a couple times. Mm-hmm. So he took on this reputation of his own. Obviously, he was great at Liberty until he kind of, checked out. But everyone's been waiting for him to do miracles at Auburn, almost beat Bama again last year. It didn't happen. And, in a new and improved SEC, it's hard. It's going to be hard for Auburn to rise up above the pack and of the fray. But if you are Hugh Freeze and you are the Tigers, you got to win this game, because, Arkansas is good, but this is a beatable game. And you look at the rest of the Auburn slate, The loser of this game probably isn't going to a bowl game. And it's crazy that, we're talking, was it September 18th? And,
Yes.
we're that early. And of course, a million things can happen and will happen between here and there. But you kind of look ahead and say there are a whole lot of 50-50 games at best for both of these two. So, and that's, Sam Pittman's a little more on a hot seat than Hugh Freeze is. But for both coaches of both programs, this is big. This is about as big as it gets on a lower level.
Pete, you mentioned one of our favorite words, transfer, right? I mean, that's the name of the game throughout this season. And when you couple that with injuries, I think a lot of fans, they don't just watch their own team, they're looking at the teams that they're going to be playing later on. And so college football news is a real MVP in that conversation because, on your site, you talk about the predictions, you talk about, what's what and who's who. For those who've never visited your site, tell us more about it.
It is right now, but it's all about the picks and predictions. That's what that's what the base likes. That's what we do. Off season, it's about one big pregame show for about 8 months, just previewing, looking ahead at everything. But right now, it is just about analyzing all the games because this is where it's fun. This is where there is a lot of games and there's a lot of speculation and things like that. So this is where we get into, speculation about the Heisman, speculation about the college football playoff that's coming, and just sort of analyzing it all. And kind of deep diving into the college football world. It's crazy. I mean, we started this up in 1998. I mean, right at the beginning of the BCS. So been seeing this whole thing through for the last 26 years. It's been insane that it's gone by fast, but it's a lot of college football and it's still ridiculously fun. And now you get times like this where you do have expansion, you do have transfers, you do have things. And there's never 2 years that are the same, even if the same teams are always at the top.
Hey, Pete, less than a minute and a half. UCLA, LSU, I'll be down there in Baton Rouge. UCLA is really stumbling and bumbling right now. And LSU, we thought their defense might be better, but I think they returned to their former ways last week.
This is one of those LSU's got to just drill. I mean, Indiana is good. They're not so good that they should have gone into the Rose Bowl and blown out UCLA. And LSU, if their offense is clicking, should be able to rock in this. Deshaun Foster, I feel bad for him. He's a really good guy. And if and when they start winning, he's going to be the perfect guy for this program because he is fun. He's going to have a blast with this. He's going to be what the UCLA fan base wants in terms of who represents them in this program. But he's a first-time head coach, and so he's just there's going to be some a learning curve here. And they lost a lot of talent from last year, and so far they can't get going. And the biggest problem with UCLA is they can't get their offensive line to work for that running game, which I know is what Deshaun Foster really wants to get going. And that's going to be this is a test for LSU a little bit because if LSU is going to rise it back up, which I think they will, this is one of those they can't sweat too much. Just take over early, get up to a big lead, and assume that UCLA can't make a comeback.
Hey, Pete, thank you so much for coming on today. Pete Fiutak, the publisher of College Football News, outstanding site. Pete, thank you so much for being a part of the show, AP and Kelly, as we see it. And we'll be right back after these messages.
Thanks, Pete.
Hi, I'm AP Stedham for Greer's Markets. If you're planning a big party or for every day, shop at Greer's for delicious food, beverages, and snacks. Save time and money by checking on Greer's.com and use Groceries to Go to get your Greer's groceries delivered. Look at the weekly ad for more information. 29 locations in Alabama, Florida, and Mississippi, serving the region since 1916. Remember, Greer's got it. They guarantee it.
Let the games begin at Wind Creek Casino, where new players get a free play rebate of up to $1,000 based on their first day's play. Just stop by Player Services at any Alabama location and sign up for a rewards account to get all the details. Mention you heard this ad on the radio and give the code Kelly25 and we'll throw in a $25 free play bonus. That's KELLY 25. Don't miss out on our new player promise, exclusively from Wind Creek. Minimum $75 loss required for free play rebate. Get full details at windcreek.com or see Player Services.
Welcome back to AP and Kelly as we see it. We're both chomping at the bit. We want to thank Pete, of course, for joining us, AP. Yet another great get.
I look far and wide and I get lucky.
He's very talented and brought so much to the show, as we always love our guests to do. Let's go ahead and get back into the games now. Vandy and Missouri, or some say Mizzou. What do we need to know on both sides of the ball as these two teams get ready to line up?
Yeah, Kelly, I just want to backtrack for a second. Vandy, I was hoping they would win that third game. They got beat in Atlanta by Georgia State, put up plenty of offense, Kelly, 32 points, but defensively gave up 36. So Diego Pavia, the quarterback that transferred from New Mexico State, he brought a lot of enthusiasm to the offensive side of the ball, but Vanderbilt is still coming up short defensively. So Vandy is a 20-point underdog to Mizzou, the number 7 team in the country. We like that Mizzou team. We know that Cook and our main man, Luther Burden III, they are tearing it up right now. They're tearing it up. Offensively, they're 18th and 4th on defense. Missouri, Vanderbilt, offensively 89th, which is better than last year, though, and 46th on defense. So I think that Vandy's going to have a lot of trouble on the road in Columbia, and Mizzou should win this ball game. But Vandy's improved. Let's say that.
Well, and I don't think you should count them out because, as we know, even if you lose 56-0, that's still just one loss. And each game is a new opportunity for you to get it together. And so this is when your leaders are separated from the rest. And maybe there's someone on the Commodores who are ready to, grab the bull by the horn. You know how they
That's
say
it.
it,
Oh yeah.
co-host, and do something special.
Oh yeah. Hey Kelly, you know this? Here's a fact for you. Diego Pavia, he played for New Mexico State against Missouri in 2022. They were beaten 45-14. So he's a familiar face to the Missouri Tigers. Eli Drinkwitz spoke about that in the SEC teleconference.
So he can bring some intel. That's what I just heard you say.
Yes.
Okay. We'll keep an eye on both teams for sure. Florida taking on Mississippi State. This one, and for those who are not good with geography, I mean, these states are right next door. Okay, so to speak. And and the reason why I bring that up is because they're used to the same type of climate, that humidity, the weather. Because I think sometimes when you bring in the Big Ten and the SEC or teams that are not used to it, their play is impacted if they're not quite used to those conditions.
Yeah, it could be the fluctuation in the temperatures and the conditions for sure. Kelly, it's been a very difficult year for Mississippi State right now. They played Toledo out of the MAC. You're thinking they can get on track again. They were beaten they didn't just lose, Kelly. They were beaten 41-17 at home. And this is Jeff Lebby, the first-year coach of Mississippi State. He's an offensive guru type. So they're struggling on that side of the ball. They're 114th in offense right now with Blake Shapen, the transfer quarterback from Baylor. So in Florida, we know that they're having difficulties as well. Graham Mertz, the transfer from Wisconsin, DJ Lagway, the highly recruited freshman, they lost last week. They were losing 20-0 at home to Texas A&M. They were on the short end, 33-20. So these two teams, they're trying to get on track. They both have just a one win. Florida is a 6.5-point favorite on the road. So we shall see what happens.
Let me ask you this as you backtrack to Mississippi State. What happened with them in Toledo? I mean, was that projected that they would lose?
They were a big I have to look back there, Kelly, but they were a pretty big, decent favorite in that game. You're playing a team out of the MAC. You're the SEC. Yeah. I mean, you're not supposed to lose by 24 points to a MAC team at home.
Yeah, the MAC is like your third cousin. I mean, they're way down. Yeah. They're way down the line.
They're a good league. We've seen. Northern Illinois went to Notre Dame and beat them this year.
And things can happen. It's a game, but I know Mississippi State fans are not happy today. But hopefully they can, dig deep. As you mentioned, the coaches his first year. Obviously, we know that they lost. Unfortunately, their famed coach, and so you really don't realize how great a coach is, maybe, or the chemistry and the dynamic that was there until they're no longer there, and many players and many coaches try to fill that void.
Yeah, absolutely. So Mississippi State and Florida, both teams are struggling. Jeff Lebby, the first-year coach, so he's not on the hot seat, but Billy Napier, that is hot. That thing is boiling.
Right. I mean, seriously, like in the broiler. Forget boiling. It's in his name is in the broiler. Every week is Billy Napier this and Billy Napier that. Do you think? I mean, your gut, because you're in the stadiums. You're talking to the coaches and the players. What are you feeling?
Yeah, let's just say I can feel the money being shuffled around when we approach the stadium. They're getting it ready. They're piling it up to pay him off. I think it's 20 something million, Kelly, something in that range.
And are you hearing a lot of names being mentioned as his possible replacement?
Not anybody strong right now, Kelly. Not at the moment, but
Okay.
they've got to make they've got to be right on this hire. How does Florida, Kelly, one of the best recruiting bases in the country, and you have Florida State and Florida both struggling mightily? I mean, they're not just close. In other words, losing a game, you think, okay, fine. They're losing badly.
You know, in the news world, Florida man. Whenever you hear that, it's not a good situation. Florida man. Just go ahead and look up that hashtag and you'll see exactly what I'm saying. All right, let's keep it moving and grooving. We have talked a little bit about this with our guest today, but UCLA and LSU.
Yeah, UCLA, first year coach Deshaun Foster, he was a very good running back for the Bruins. I actually saw him play against Alabama in Pasadena, and they upset Alabama when Alabama was ranked in the top 5 at the time. But he's trying to bring some enthusiasm back to the team. I think Eric Bieniemy's out there, Kelly. You know that, familiar with that
I
name? Kansas
sure
City.
do. He is
So,
with the Kansas City Chiefs. Oh,
right.
yes.
So,
A man many people said should have been elevated to coach status because he's just a
yeah.
genius in his job.
Yeah, we're going to see what happens. But right now, Kelly, they're 124th in offense. And there's about 134, 133 teams. So right now, so they're struggling on that side of the ball. Defensively, 81. LSU is 20. Their offense is 66, and they're back to being 91 in the defense on the defensive side. We thought there was some improvement. There definitely is because they were atrocious last year.
Mhm.
But they're favored by 24. LSU is the 16th team in the nation, ranked number 16. They should win this game, Kelly. They really need to win it by double digits. They can't let UCLA hang around and gain confidence because we know that LSU's defense is susceptible to giving up points.
So
But this is what historical thing I was going to mention, Kelly. I can't come up with anybody who's played USC and UCLA in the same season, non-conference. I think Notre Dame did it at one point because, Notre Dame plays USC every year and they scheduled UCLA as well. So this is kind of something that you don't see very often. And UCLA out of the Big Ten.
after Notre Dame's surprising loss, they're like, keep my name out of this, okay?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
If you were giving a pep talk to LSU, I mean, where would you tell them to concentrate the very mostest?
Yeah, I would say let's play some good defense. Let's tackle well. Let's concentrating on pursuing the ball and gang tackling. Let's communicate with our assignments. Let's have good technique on the defensive side of the ball. Let's put our hands up when we're rushing the passer. Let's hit hard, but clean and fair. And they escaped last week, Kelly. They were ahead of South Carolina 17. They were losing to South Carolina by 17 zip on the road to Columbia. And they came back to win the game 36-33. South Carolina, those fans do not feel happy. LSU, they really feel like we survived and escaped on the road.
But games like that take a lot out of you. If you're coming from, you're the comeback kid, you use all that energy, all that excitement, all that momentum. They hopefully are using these days in between their next game, which of course is taking on UCLA. They better rest up and hydrate because you can't keep doing that. That will wear you out. And that's how injuries happen. And that makes that season seem like the longest thing ever. And before you know it, you're not going to the next level. Yeah, that can creep up into the next game, Kelly, when you make a huge comeback and you're let down the next game. You think, oh, we're invincible. We were behind by 17-0. We can win this ball game. Yeah. Doesn't happen. Not a good idea. And I know I've never suited up for one down, but I'm just telling you, as you get older, it's harder to keep up with that same momentum. I know we're coming up on a break, but let me just remind everybody once again to always continue to follow us on social media because we'd love if you post a question, then we can answer that question on the show. We're really AP can. And then, or if the question is for a coach or a player and we're covering those games, we can get that question asked for you as well. So follow us on Instagram and Facebook and X, AP and Kelly as we see it. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with more games that we're covering, talking about, looking at, predicting, and letting you know who has a bye this week. Stay tuned.
Hi, I'm AP Stedham for Greer's Markets. If you're planning a big party or for every day, shop at Greer's for delicious food, beverages, and snacks. Save time and money by checking on Greers.com and use groceries to go to get your Greer's groceries delivered. Look at the weekly ad for more information. 29 locations in Alabama, Florida, and Mississippi, serving the region since 1916. Remember, Greer's got it. They guarantee it. I'm AP Stedham with Dr. Jason Northcutt of Robertsdale Dental Care.
AP, not only do we offer basic full-service dental treatment, but I also have developed a niche within the practice where I provide comprehensive dental implant services, such as single implants, bone grafting, and full mouth reconstruction. I've been highly trained in those disciplines to offer comfortable and long-lasting solutions to major dental problems.
Come by and see Dr. Jason Northcutt at Robertsdale Dental Care.
And welcome back to AP and Kelly as we see it. Our last game that we were covering, as you see on the screen, UCLA taking on LSU. We talked, in depth about what both teams need to do to try to get the W. We're continuing on with our teams, and we're also going to talk about an apology that happened earlier in the week. My co-host will tell you more about that. But let's get right to our next team on the block, and that's Ohio taking on Kentucky. Ohio taking on Kentucky. I had to double check my notes there because I kind of scrabbled.
I understand. Kelly, those Kentucky folks, they thought they had the number one team beat. They ended up losing by 1 point, 13-12. Mm-hmm. And the surprise, that's the biggest surprise, I think, so far in the college football season, because it's the number one team being taken right to the 1 point limit. And they're playing on the road. Way. No, it should never. And you're playing against a former Georgia quarterback. We thought that it would be an infusion of offensive firepower, but so far Brock Vandagriff and company, they can't seem to get out of their own way. They're 129th, Kelly, in offense. There's only 33, as I said, 34 teams. So they're just having a very difficult time. I'm so surprised because they have some veteran receivers, and Brock is a very good quarterback coming out of high school, had all that training at Georgia behind Carson Beck. But so that was a 1 point loss. They're a 19.5 point favorite to Ohio University. It was 2-1. They beat Morgan State last week, 21-6. So Kentucky's got to get back in the groove, on the right track, and put some points on the board. And defensively, they're ninth nationally. So they're playing decent on that side of the ball, as usual with the Mark Stoops team. But that offense, it's a small O at this time.
But it's so different when you're the co-pilot compared to the pilot. And so, you got to get those kinks out. And when it's game time, you have to bring it, or the other team will gobble you up like Mrs. Pac-Man does with pellets. I took you way back with that one. Yes. Georgia is our next game that we're covering. Georgia taking on Ole Miss.
Georgia Southern.
Excuse me, Georgia Southern. Thank you very much. Taking on Ole Miss. What stands out to you about either team, and did either team do something of note last week?
Kelly, this ball game, these are two former USC, University of Southern California head coaches. Clay Helton was the head coach there, and of course Lane Kiffin as well. So they know each other. They're friends. Georgia Southern right now is 2-1. They beat South Carolina State 42-14. Ole Miss, I covered that game last week at Wake Forest, 40-6. The teams have yet to score a touchdown. Their offense is number one in the country. Ole Miss, defense 22. So number one offense, and we know they have the best core of receivers at this time. And I think America, we're obsessed with saying the best. They're very good. I mean, right. Whether they're the best, but I know they're one of the tops in the conference in the country. So Ole Miss, they're trying to continue those winning ways, 34.5 point favorites. So they'll take care of business playing at home against Georgia Southern.
Lane Kiffin, I wonder how he keeps his cool and his focus when his name is mentioned for every other coaching job, outside of his very own that he currently has. It's something different.
I think Lane, he enjoys the notoriety. I believe he does. I think so.
I could see that. I could totally see that. Moving on. All right. We've got Akron and South Carolina.
Yeah, South
you
Carolina.
don't usually hear those two names together.
Not really. Yeah, I don't know if they have a serious history or not, but Akron beat Colgate 31-20. They're 1-2. South Carolina, the heartbreaking loss, 17-point lead to LSU. There's one of these games, Kelly, where you want to recover. You're trying to get your offense on track. I mean, Robbie Ashford was a backup from Auburn. He came in because Lenore Sellers was hurt. I'm not sure the status of the quarterback situation heading into this game. South Carolina's offense, once again, they're in the 115th in the country. So some of these SEC offenses, they have a lot of speed and talent, but you have to get it together. It's the toughest team game, and they're struggling around 50th on defense, but they'll take care of business. 27.5-point favorite at home.
You think the SEC has become almost diluted because of all the transfers that are changing the name of the game?
Well, I think it's very difficult. I think it's going to be very difficult to go undefeated, to answer your question. I believe. I think that's to your point.
Okay, that's fair, because it's hard to wrap your arms around the team if the names are ever changing, and
Right.
you've got to recreate greatness from maybe the previous season or that before. All right, our next game that we're covering is about to pop up on your screen right now. This is UL Monroe taking on Texas, #1 Texas. Isn't this something notable coming about the fact that Texas has this #1 designation?
Well, Kelly, they won on the road at Michigan against a Big Ten opponent, former national championship team, and Arch Manning took over because there was an abdominal issue with Quinn Ewers at quarterback. So we saw Arch Manning. Now, Kelly, he runs like his granddaddy, Archie Manning.
Yes,
yeah,
I heard the Manning brothers talking about it clearly skipped a generation.
Yeah,
He
67-yard
had some
touchdown.
wheels.
Yeah, his daddy was a wide receiver, so his daddy could run. Cooper,
Mhm.
he had to give up the game of football due to a neck issue. But Arch, he outran some people. He's got a strong arm. He's physical, knows about the game since he's very little. But I think he's going to be very good. I think Texas could win with him as a freshman quarterback. I believe they can. Some people have some doubts, but he's talented, and they got receivers. And Steve Sarkisian, he's an excellent play caller. They're a 44.5-point favorite, of course. Their offense is 10th, defense is 16th, and they beat University of Texas San Antonio last week. Big score. I think it was 52-6, something like that. But Texas, they look for real at the
Yeah,
moment.
and it's clearly in his DNA. I mean, you can't deny what he comes from and how early he's been training and how much and just the resources that he has. So he
Yeah.
kind of was born to do this. And so it'd just be interesting to see if he lives up to the hype or just crushes it. We shall see. Bowling Green is taking on Texas A&M.
Yeah, Texas A&M went on the road, beat Florida 33-20. They had the freshman quarterback. He played for them, Marcel Reed. He was 11 for 17, 178 yards, 2 touchdowns, ran for 84 yards on 13 carries and another touchdown. So he counted for 3. And that was pretty impressive because A&M had not won on the road for quite a while, Kelly. And their quarterback, Connor Wegman, was injured. So I think he's going to start again this weekend. I think the coach wasn't positive, but Marcel Reed, he was freshman of the week in the SEC, so he's very talented quarterback. Kelly, here's something interesting about Bowling Green. There's an SEC flavor to that team. They have the quarterback Connor Bazelak. He played for Missouri. Kelly, he was the co-freshman of the year in 2020, playing for Missouri.
Wow. Oh my goodness.
Played there 2-3 years, then played in Indiana as well. But he's with Bowling Green. And Kelly, keep an eye on this game. They played Penn State to a 34-27 loss. It was very close.
So they can hold their own, is what you're saying.
27 points against Penn State. Happy Valley wasn't that happy, I don't think, that day.
You're trying to rename the valley, Frowny Valley.
Yeah. He's 6'3", 225, so he's not afraid of any SEC teams. And A&M with the new quarterback, they're trying to come around with Mike Elko, their offense and everything, defense. So they're 60th on defense, 52nd on offense.
So that's going to be the game to watch. Make note. My co-host said that, and we will see for sure. Couple of buys this week. Big name buys happening this week.
Yeah, big name buys, Georgia and Alabama. We know that Georgia, they were not very good with all that talent. 13 points, Kelly. That's stealing money to me. You're on offense. You scored 13 points, and you're Georgia with all that offensive talent. And defensively, they were fine. They held Kentucky down to 12 points. Kentucky scored 12 points that game, and I think 6 against South Carolina, 18 points in 2 games. Kentucky's having a tough time. But Alabama, Georgia, they have the byes. Alabama went up to Wisconsin, impressive win against a Big Ten team, 42-10, over 400 yards, only 4 penalties. The offensive line played better. And by the way, offensive line, Kelly, I just want to mention, I have a new show out called The Book Report. And we're focusing in on one player, Tyler Booker, number 52, University of Alabama, offensive guard. He was all SEC, is an All-American candidate. But Alabama, they're playing very well under the new coach, Kalen DeBoer.
It's good stuff. And you are like the Ryan Seacrest of the SEC. You have many shows and you do them well, co-host. And we appreciate you always highlighting them. And of course, we've got YouTube information when it comes to our channel so that you can always link all of those together. We also, before we wrap up the show, we wanted to talk about a major apology that happened, which shows a lot about a young man.
Yeah, Jeremy Bernard, the transfer from Washington, wide receiver to Alabama, he made an ill-advised comment after he threw some shade on a Wisconsin tradition of that, using that jump up song, I guess it's called, Kelly. Mm-hmm. And so he apologized to his coach and the team. So good for him. He made a mistake. He apologized, accepted it, and owned it, and he's moving on. But we'd like to see people, like I always say this, I can't say it enough. Coach Brian of Alabama always said, always show your class. If you don't, it doesn't matter.
There you go. And I love the fact he apologized to his coach before his coach even knew what was going on.
Yes.
That has value, integrity, and character. Great job, young man. Hey, that's another week. We're wrapping up, AP.
Looking forward to another weekend in Baton Rouge, UCLA, LSU, and we'll be back. We'll have all the videos and the highlights and the comments and the interviews. So check out our YouTube page, AP and Kelly as we see it, and we'll look forward to next week. Till next week, AP and Kelly as we see it. Okay, Kelly, bye-bye.
Let the games begin at Wind Creek Casino, where new players get a free play rebate of up to $1,000 based on their first day's play. Just stop by Player Services at any Alabama location and sign up for a rewards account to get all the details. Mention you heard this ad on the radio and give the code Kelly25 and we'll throw in a $25 free play bonus. That's KELLY 25. Don't miss out on our new player promise, exclusively from Wind Creek. Minimum $75 loss required for free play rebate. Get full details at windcreek.com or see Player Services.
Hi, I'm AP Stedham for Greer's Markets. If you're planning a big party or for every day, shop at Greer's for delicious food, beverages, and snacks. Save time and money by checking on Greers.com and use Groceries to Go to get your Greer's groceries delivered. Look at the weekly ad for more information. 29 locations in Alabama, Florida, and Mississippi, serving the region since 1916. Remember, Greer's got it. They guarantee it.